Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and you might be asking, what in the world am I going to do with all of this epoxy? So this is one of the last projects I did in my old garage, in my old workspace before I moved and got set up in the new house. And if you do a lot of epoxy projects, you know, for some reason, adding part A and part B together, somehow you'll have more part B than part A with some of these epoxies. It's a one-to-one epoxy. So I gathered all those bowls up, put them all into one bucket, took some red, took some blue, and decided, you know what, we're just going to put some colors together and do one of the final projects in the garage. So essentially that's what we did. This is basically all the leftover epoxy that I had, put it in the pressure pot, 4.5 hours, and got this really cool looking blank. It's like purple. So you got a mixture of red, you got a mixture of blue in there that combines this cool purple. I added a copious amount of glitter in this thing. Absolutely love the way this turned out, and this is going to be one of the better bowls that I've ever done, and I'm really happy with how the casting came out. You can see we're nice flat on the top. There's no wood, no waste block in there. Just a pure epoxy project, so super stoked about this. So got the hot glue gun out, put the piece of pine board on it, and now we're just gonna get that we're gonna get that face plate on if I can get it squared away and centered on the middle of it. So once we got this portion on, this part went, I think, relatively easy. This is actually the first time that I'm actually watching this video all the way through, so hopefully we'll get the commentary done relatively easy. So you can see it's not a very large project, one of the, I would say, middle of the road projects, nothing too huge for the lathe. So once we got all that on, now we're just taking that superficial layer off, getting some pretty good ribbons initially. And again, as I said earlier, I ended up moving houses. This is one of the last projects that I did. Finished this out in July, and then it's actually September of 2021 when I'm doing this commentary, and you guys are watching this in January of 2022. So a lot of time discrepancy. So these past few projects you guys have watched has been basically everything that I did back in July before I moved. So getting a majority of the epoxy off, getting these good layers. You can see we're just getting that good superficial layer off. You can see the ribbons just coming off, and you can see we're actually eating away at that layer of epoxy, which is really good. And I should be hitting it with the round carbide tool here in just a little bit. Once we got that top layer off, boom, there it is. And you can see that the round carbide tool is just smoothing everything out really nice and neat and even, because that's what you got to do before you flip it over and make that mortise. So there are the shavings getting in the way of the camera, making visualization a little bit more difficult, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot better to get these good shavings off than glass and sand hitting you in the face from all the epoxy. So that's how you know the epoxy set up really nice and well, and you can still see the glitter in there. And I'm basically just, you know, taking layer by layer off, just trying to get that superficial portion off and get everything nice and even. Now we're just finishing up the bottom of it so we can go ahead and make that mortise, and that's what we're going to do right here. Took one of the carbide tools, cut into the middle, and then we're going to come back and hit it with one of the smaller carbide tools just to square everything off nice and even and get that nice fit for the chuck jaws, so we can go ahead and just reverse that portion of it here in just a little bit. Where is it? Where is it? And stop it. And maybe a little too big. Alright, come back, hit it again. Just trying to make it as small as possible, but make sure that it fits, because you don't always get the size right the first time. So instead of taking the chisel to it and popping off that waste block, we're just going to go ahead and finish it down with a square carbide tool. I find that to be a little bit easier than just popping it off. Plus, we don't impact the epoxy, so I think that's just a little bit more effective in this case. So you can see my big old head in the way, getting, and then eventually it just pops off real nice and easy. Excuse me. And then you can see the back of my head right there. Obviously, really shoddy camera work in this one, but overall, pretty happy with it overall. Like I said, I haven't watched this video since July. And my voice is a little scratchy during this commentary, so I don't want to cough. That's what the pauses are. Drinking Pepsi right now, Diet Pepsi, not sponsored, by the way. Anyway, back to the project. So now that it's just pure epoxy, we got to take small, gentle strokes, and like I said in my last video that we did last week, just taking each superficial layer off, and you can see that we're getting really good ribbons off of it. We're making sure that we're just taking small, gentle passes, and you can see all the good ribbons. That's how you know the tools are sharp, the epoxy is set up well. When you get ribbons that look like that, that's how you know you're doing it right. And my skill level has come so far in the past 3 years that I've been doing this. I can definitely say that I still have problems with certain projects, but these last projects we did in July were really, really good. I was really happy with the way these things turned out, and I always love getting these good shavings off. This just buildup of webbing that just flies off of the epoxy itself, or the blank itself, looks absolutely amazing. Absolutely love it. This is how you know you're doing it right. And I love doing just pure epoxy projects, and the only reason we did just a simple only epoxy project is because this is basically just leftover epoxy that I had to get rid of before the move. And you can definitely feel it on the chisels when you're doing this versus when you're doing wood and epoxy mixture. So hopefully one of these days when the channel takes off, hopefully, and I get sponsored by some epoxy company, we can just do pure epoxy projects, because let me tell you, if epoxy wasn't so pricey, and even my epoxy that I use isn't very expensive, but it's still, it's not cheap stuff, but you definitely feel a difference on the chisels when you do just a pure epoxy project. So once we got the depth that we want, now we're just coming back and just taking off superficial layers on the bottom. We've nearly hit the depth that we want, and then I should be coming back with the round carbide tool and just squaring off the sides of it, getting the walls to the sizes we want before we actually finish it up. And you can still see we're getting really good ribbons off of this, really nice and smooth. Just pure joy. This project was really, really good. No major issues. So there you can see just the piles of ribbons and shavings that are on there. Just absolutely gorgeous. You can see there on the workbench, just looks like Spider-Man was in there. It looks so damn good. And then you can see these bundles of cotton candy type ribbons that just look absolutely beautiful. So there it is. Now we're just going from 380 or 340 all the way to the 1500. And then we're going to come back and hit it with a micro mesh before we're all said and done. Excuse me again. And now we're just sanding it down, which I love sanding. You know how much I enjoy that. And then we're hitting it with the micro mesh pads, getting a real good finish and polish on it before we wrap it up. And I love doing the micro mesh. I don't love the dry sanding so much. The micro mesh wet sanding is definitely a lot better for me. So then we're just hitting it with the wood wax, getting everything nice and shined up. You can see here, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Really love the sparkle. This was just absolute pleasure to do. And like I said, hope to do just more pure epoxy projects in the future and for 2022 as well. So just getting everything nice and polished before our final project. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Here it is. Like I said, I finished this early in the morning, so you guys didn't get to see it in the sun, but absolutely love it. Gorgeous project. Hope you guys got something out of it. Hope everybody's having a good 2022. And here it is, the final product, spun down and just absolutely sparkles in the sun. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful project. So hope you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace. Okay, so the project is done, and it came out absolutely stunning. I have not done a complete whole just epoxy project like this in so very long. It has been literally forever since I've done this, and looks absolutely amazing. I forgot how much I just love turning just epoxy, no scrap wood, just went through the chisels, very, very smooth. And it looks absolutely beautiful. You can see that red and blue glitter in there. Just looks stunning. So you guys are watching this probably in January or February, but hope everybody's doing well out there. I plan on doing just epoxy probably later on in the year. I don't know. I'm making these bowls in July. I'm cranking these things out in my garage because I'm moving to my new house. By the time you guys watch this, I'll be well established in my new house already. But man, looks absolutely stunning. Beautiful bowl. Gonna do a lot of these in the future. So I hope you guys like this. Hope Hope you guys got something out of it. Hope everybody's staying warm because you're probably watching this in the winter. But man, it looks really, really good. So hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace.